Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. Last episode we ended off finishing this grain line that sends food over to the food processing plant, which then brings it back to the cargo hub. So to kick off this episode, we'll be detailing that food processing factory, and then I think we're going to rework some of our bus stations at Jackson's main train station. So pretty much this is the state that we left this area off in. So we're gonna clean this up a bit, make it look a lot nicer, and then once we do that, we'll just confirm everything else around the line and move on to everything else that we're going to do. So firstly, I'd like to fix our streets, and we're gonna start by upgrading that road. And then we're going to straighten out some of these kinks that we have every now and then that I assume are just from old roads that used to be through here and no longer exist. So we'll just smooth out these corners so our trucks never have to slow down on them. And I think that covers them all. We might make this a little more efficient though. So we can just bring it around like so. And that should be pretty much all this solved for the most part. So next what I'd like to do is we'll probably upgrade this road as well, so we get a nice road like that coming through here. And I think we might have to come through and flatten out some of this area as it's not perfectly level with the industry. And then next what we're going to do is add some buildings here along our train station. So we'll get the big building placed down right about here. And then I think we could maybe get two of these medium-sized buildings over on this side. And it'll be a little tricky to get this to blend in, but I think it provides a nice challenge for us to figure out. Alright, so I think we have our roads coming through here how we want them. We might just extend this one straight out just a bit more. And I think this leaves us with a pretty good groundwork for what we want to do. So then next we'll get rid of this truck station. And I think we'll fit something in this area that should do the trick for us. So this will be the station that we add. I think it'll look quite nice once we blend it in with everything. But the way I think we're going to plan this is we have our industry here, which is just fine. I don't think we're going to fill in anything here since this end of the industry is sort of open-ended anyway. If it upgrades and there's buildings over here, we might extend this way then in the future. But I think for the most part, we'll extend our industries along this road. And then we'll have sort of a storage area right about here for the truck station and train station. So next step we have the area painted that we want. So of course this will all be asphalt as that would make the most sense. And I think next we can get into placing our buildings. So now we've cleared out the lot of trees. We just have this industry that we can't really touch. So I'm fine with leaving that. We can come in here and find our food buildings. I believe those are right here. And we can just come through and sort of detail this area up and see what we come up with. Alright, so here's the basis of our buildings. I think this looks pretty good in this area. We do have to add some details. So as you can see here, this industry has skylights and other stuff on its roofs. We'll come through, add those in on here, add some other accessories, and we'll start to fence things in and place some smaller details. So for the roof details, I think we'll use these warehouse asset ones as opposed to using all the small ones that the sort of base industry comes with. I just think these look a little bit more realistic, especially when it comes to sort of the roof details and vents and whatnot. So we can get this placed in right about here. And we'll just sort of go through and do this in a bunch of different areas so it looks a little more natural. We'll get another one placed there. Maybe we'll get one of these on this building. We'll get a ladder placed as well to help out with a bit of realism. And then lastly, to cap off some of these buildings, we'll throw in some back doors and other things sort of around the buildings, just so we don't have some of these blank spaces around here. Alright, so I think the next step then is to fence it all in, and then that'll provide us a good framework to start adding in all the small details. Alright, so now that we have this area fenced in, we can start adding some of the details in and get this looking like it's fully functional. Alright, so I think this is a pretty good spot to leave this area off as. I think we have most things covered. There's a bunch of small details we can come back and add, but for now I think it's okay until this industry starts to level up some more. I would like to maybe add a parking lot over here. Nothing too big, but I think for now we're good to leave this. We'll just clean up the landscaping around it and then double check the line that it's running properly, and then we'll leave this industry off like this. So then coming over to this train station, we can see we have some grain starting to pile up. I think maybe just to add a little bit of flavor in this area, we can just quickly come in while we wait for a train to come through and place down some of these grain storage things. So we'll just come through, pile these up along here like so. We'll get a couple of these just to add a little bit of extra to this area. I think that should be good. So when we zoom out, you can see there's just a little bit more added to this area to give it a little bit more flavor and interest. So one of our trains is pulling in right about now, so we'll get to see how full this one leaves. I suppose we can also check here, as I think maybe these numbers just need to update, because it's a little odd that the shipment numbers are a little low. It could also be that we just don't need that much food at the cargo hub at the moment, but I'd rather be prepared for the maximum than not be prepared when we expand to that level. So we can see this train picked up just under half of its load. It is on track to sort of break even, which is okay for now. I think I just want to get all of this up and running properly. I think we can come through and check our line and our line rate. So this is at 800, about where we want it to be when this is fully maxed out. So again, I think it's just a matter of waiting for things to slowly even out and filter through the system. So before we move on, I think we're at the point where we can replace this bridge heading up to Birmingham. This just popped into my mind because we're kind of close to it and I saw it, but we do have some new bridge types unlocked that I think would look good over a span like this. So I think first we'll want to pause. And now that we're paused, we should be able to just delete the bridge segments, and we'll be able to pretty much get the same exact bridge that we have now, just with a different style and I'm pretty sure a better speed limit. So now that we've done that, let's drag this across our span and we'll connect it up properly. And it still has that slight arch because we left both ends of the bridge there. And we can come down and we have this kind of bridge, which I quite like, and we can see it stays at that top speed. So I think this is a pretty good win. We'll build that and then drag the second set across, and this should turn out to be a nice, pretty decent looking bridge. So here comes one of our new trains across our new bridge, and this should be able to keep up with these high speed lines, so there shouldn't be any interruption in this area anymore. The only thing could be the merge, so let's just double check that real quick. So let's just make sure our high speed train isn't the one that's slowing down when we get into this merge. So we can pull up our track speed limits layer, and it all looks pretty good. We can actually see, well, this is one of our slower trains. Let's see if any of our high-speed trains are coming through here. So we can click this line for our high-speed train line, and we can see that it slows down to about 125 at worst when it merges. So we don't really want that. And I think the way we'll fix that is by making our high-speed line sort of the priority line that connects between the tracks. So we'll pull this back like so. And let's see if we just rebuild this curve, what we get. So we still get that 125 mile an hour limit. And so by pulling this back even more, we can get this up to staying at top speed all the way through the curve. We'll just have to bring this set of tracks up. And because the train running on here is a top speed of 124 miles an hour, I believe it was, we don't have to worry too much about the speed of this merge. Although you can see its lowest is 72, which is not what we want. It's pretty annoying that we can't get these long merging sections without sort of completely breaking off of this track. So I think we'll just build through it. We'll build with the collision, and then we can find where we merged off back here. And for this one, that should just be able to connect no problem. So now finally we just have to add our signals back in, and we should no longer have issues of our high-speed trains slowing down as they come through here. So now moving on to the next bit of what we're going to do in this episode, I think we're going to add another bus stop on this side of the train station, much like we have this one here. And this is just so we can distribute the amount of passengers coming in by bus, as this one's completely overloaded by a single line, and we don't really have the opportunity to utilize both of these lines. So I think we'll get a separate stop for each line so we have even more capacity, and it also helps to spread out the traffic a bit. So I hope what we can do is simply just delete this road and then add a bus stop on the end of this road. And it looks like if we get this just right, we can still connect all the way onto the other side, so that won't impact our bus network connections at all in this area. So I think we'll leave it as so. We'll get the maximum platform length, and we'll try to keep this as straight as possible. We can see our bus station is aligned with the train station, so now really it's just a matter of getting the right distance. So now we have this bus station placed, and this is connected to the one over here. We should now be able to just add some passenger buildings onto here, and this will hopefully pretty seamlessly connect to the train station. So we'll just come through, paint over with some asphalt so it sort of combines the look of the two. I don't think we need to do too much detailing here, as it is a pretty small station. However, I think we will just slightly change the location of these so it mirrors the opposite side. But now that we've done that, we should be able to move our bus line so one of them comes into here and the other one comes into this side. And so I think we'll move the one that's least in demand, so it's this Jackson Scottsdale Bus 2. And so in order to do this, we will have to delete that station, and we'll add this one back in. And I think that's correct. It's a little hard to see where this line goes, but this one's the one that comes directly from Scottsdale to the train station, and then I believe it heads over to here. So let's just follow this and make sure it's going where it needs to. So first it comes here, and then it comes up into this station, and then I think where it's getting hung up is this waypoint needs to be gone, and then we add it in after this one as it comes. Well, actually we'll want it to come to this one first in a different lane, and then over to this one also in a different lane, although it looks like it merges back, but that's fine. And then I think that should do it. So this line should now be able to move around much more freely, and we won't be clogging up this intersection as much with buses now that we won't have quite as many going back and forth here. And while we're here, I think maybe we'll change up this station a little bit. I think we can get rid of some of these platform roofs. We'll have to do this very carefully. We might pause just so we can get the game to run a little better. And we'll carefully delete all of these, and I think we'll get one of these large modern station roofs over this whole set of platforms. Alright, so now we've cleared off all of our platform roofs. Let's try this station roof, and we can see that goes pretty well there. I think we might have to click across all of these in order to get this to be a nice uniform look. But this shouldn't take as long as it took to delete them. We just have to click one on each end, and we should be good to go from there. Alright, so I think in the end this is sort of what I like most. So we have sort of the big main roof here, and then we have these smaller arms that come out on each side, just so it's not one giant block at the station. But let me know what you think about this look. If you like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know as well, and give me some recommendations if you think something else would look better here. So one of the last things we're going to do is, I think, give the map a quick little look over and see if there's any traffic, since at this point in the game the cities are starting to grow faster than we can keep up with them. And it looks like Mesa is back to being an issue, with it looking like everyone in the right lane trying to either go straight or turn right. So I suppose this issue came back much quicker than I expected it to, but that will be added to our list of things to deal with, since I think it's a little bit bigger of an issue than a simple road change or anything like that. So anyway, continuing on from Mesa, Downey looks pretty good. San Jose looks like we're back to some pretty heavy traffic here, so that's an issue that we need to solve now. And surprisingly, it looks like people leaving San Jose this time instead of people coming into San Jose. So that's an interesting problem we'll have to troubleshoot. And then of course, coming from Downey and Mesa, we have tons of people taking this road, trying to get into the heart of the city, and then dispersing from there. So this is another issue we'll have to sort of work around in probably a little bit more than a quick fix. And looking at our destinations layer for San Jose, it most definitely seems like an issue of people wanting to go to Winston-Salem and a good amount to Albuquerque as well. So maybe we get a boat line to Albuquerque, similar to how we have Winston-Salem. I'm not exactly sure the best way to solve that issue. And then of course we have our San Jose to, it looks like mostly Downey. There's tons of people wanting to travel between those two cities. So we do have our train line, but again, it is a little bit wavy and out of the way, so maybe people are starting to not value that train line quite as much anymore. So again, this is something we'll have to come back and sort of troubleshoot. However, I think some quick little fixes could involve extending this 4-lane road to this one. So this will encourage some people to probably go straight at this intersection instead of turning left. So then we can also upgrade this to be 6 lanes, since we might be getting a decent amount of people wanting to go straight. I'm not sure if that's what will happen, but it is a possibility. And then as for the traffic coming in, I suppose we could also upgrade this with bus lanes sort of right after this intersection, so that our buses and trucks aren't clogging this road quite as much, and they have sort of a direct path to wherever they need to get to. And I think that's the extent of what we'll do in here for now. Of course, the whole city might need a little bit of redoing, as the grid gets pretty messed up in some areas, and I'm sure there's other issues going on that can help to easily fix this. So we still have a somewhat strong desire for people coming from Albuquerque going into Winston-Salem. I think maybe once we get a harbor set up, we can get a nice boat transportation system between these three cities using these very quick hovercrafts that we have. As we can see, there's quite a demand coming out of Winston-Salem, but I don't think that's quite reciprocated on the San Jose end. So this could very much well be a bus network and connection issue, as much of the outskirts of San Jose isn't covered by buses. So that's also another explanation as to why so many people are leaving San Jose. It does look like over here with Sacramento and Modesto, a lot of our traffic has been cleared up, besides maybe a slight backup at each intersection, but it appears to be flowing, which is pretty much what we want. Up in Birmingham is perfectly fine because it's too far away from everything for people to reasonably travel by car. Santa Clarita is doing surprisingly well, besides this intersection entering the city, although it looks like a lot of people are trying to leave, and that might be what's causing it. I think maybe there's an opportunity we could turn off this traffic light, and that will help smooth things out a lot more. Moving up to Montgomery, everything is just fine up here. Similarly to Birmingham, I think it's far enough away to where our trains are much more valuable than private transportation. And then ending off in Jackson, we can see sort of the areas that we've expected to have traffic has traffic. I don't think anywhere is really in a severe standstill at the moment, besides this intersection coming into the Jackson side, which is something we will take a look at pretty soon, as I think this whole area just needs redesigned. Much similar to Scottsdale, I think maybe we need some more larger roads cutting through some of these other areas of the city just to help disperse the traffic a little bit more evenly. But again, it's not too severe here yet. So I think one thing we might try here real quick in Jackson is, first we'll pause because this will probably cause a lot of issues. We'll do that, and then I think we'll try to get a four-way intersection here with this large road. So we'll get this coming down right about here, and then this will allow us to get our smaller road to pretty much come right off of this, and we can try to get it to connect. For some reason it doesn't really want to, but we can do that, and that might work out somewhat well. I think we can also extend our 4-lane road back through to somewhere out here. We actually want to turn off our bus lanes, which it looks like it isn't putting in here, so that's good. And we'll just extend this until it can't go anymore. So that might help out a little bit, just with people wanting to go straight instead of left. We will come in with our tools and lock all of these streets so the city doesn't build any new intersections too close to here. And that should also help with getting people in and out of here a little bit more efficiently. But I think that's going to wrap up what we do in terms of traffic. Again, I think we're going to have to come back and take a closer look at all of this pretty soon, as again, the cities are just starting to outgrow us at a faster pace than how we're rebuilding. Hopefully we get to the point soon where the cities start to grow up more than out, as we can see some skyscrapers starting to pop up here and there. But at least in Jackson and Scottsdale, it's pretty easy to find the culprit of the traffic. It's largely this area over here that's uncovered by bus stations, up here these industrial buildings, and then this new development that's popping up across the train tracks here in Scottsdale. And lastly, I just want to come back to the cargo hub and make one change that someone in the comments actually recommended. these 3 cranes that we have here, they're just close enough together where it seems like they probably wouldn't be able to turn around, so they wouldn't really be able to move goods from here to here, or vice versa. And I think that makes pretty good sense, as these are fairly close together. So I think just deleting that middle one, we still get a pretty good look here, and it still looks fairly decent in my mind. I don't think it really takes away too much, but again, if you guys have any suggestions or comments on what you want to see, want me to change, or anything you want to see built, leave that in the comments and I'll try to get to it, so long as it sort of fits within our plans. But as for that, I think we're going to leave this video off here. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.